Hi, I'm Sam Berkman, J Street's National Director of Communal Relations, and I am here today with Rabbi Stanley Davids. Rabbi, thanks so much for taking the time today.
Thank you very much. And it's not unreasonably early in Santa Monica, so that it's not bad.
Well, Shana Tova to you. Appreciate you taking the time during this busy holiday season.
The good news is that I'm retired from the pulpit. Therefore, my only job is to criticize the sermons of other rabbis.
Well, hopefully, all good sermons going around right now, as I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
So look, before we get started, I did want to run through some of the impressive highlights of your career before I ask my first question. So you were born in Cleveland, you graduated from Case Western, you were ordained from HUC in 1965 and made Aliyah in 2004. In addition to being a congregational rabbi, where you're a rabbi emeritus at Temple Emmanuel in Atlanta, and were also the senior rabbi at Central Synagogue. You also went on to serve as a national chairman of ARTSA, the Association of Reformed Zionists of America. You served as the honorary chairman of the Israel Bonds National Rabbinic Cabinet. You spent more than a decade as a member of the Board of Governors of the Jewish Agency and an executive of the World Zionist Organization. You've also received honors from NIFTY, the Reform Movement's youth organization, and AEPI. So I could go on and on describing the well-deserved recognition of your illustrious career, but I want to go back and ask you to describe what your Jewish upbringing was like. What was most impactful in the formation of your Jewish identity that led to such a rich career in the Jewish community?
I was raised in Cleveland Heights, as a matter of fact, where we had a totally integrated, diverse Jewish community. My high school was 95% Jewish. I grew up believing that the entire world was Jewish because they're the only people I came in contact with. That's literally true. It was a shock when I discovered that there's a world out there not like Cleveland Heights in the old days. I was a member of a conservative congregation and early on became active in leading the davening for kids services and active in the youth group and so forth. But several things stand out. Number one, my rabbi had an incredible influence on me as a human being. And I wanted to be just like Jack Herman of blessed memory. I wanted to be like him. And he took me under his wing and provided me all kinds of pre-rabbinic experiences for which I'm forever grateful. Secondly, my father owned a delicatessen and restaurant. And in the back room of my father's store, all the executives of the Jewish agencies in the area would come for private eating and serious, nasty gossiping. So they would be there. And as a kid, I would hang out sitting on a bunch of boxes, kind of like drinking in Jewish communal life.
What was your connection like with Israel growing up? I mean,
I had a typical Jewish upbringing in Cleveland Heights. I went to Hebrew school 5 days a week. And that's what my world did. Conservative congregation, but this was a communal school, Monday through Thursday and Sunday. One day when I was 9 years old, don't do the math. When I was 9 years old, my Hebrew school teacher walked into class holding a coin. And that coin was an Israeli coin. It was 1948. I was astonished that Hebrew that I've been studying so I can learn I could do the whole thing is on a coin that I could use to buy gum with. It was, oh my God, Israel, Hebrew, that's contemporary. That's my life. That was, I know, that's not like a great cataclysmic thing, but for this 9-year-old kid, it was like reality intruded into my life. And I love that. My father came to the United States from Hansovich in what is now Ukraine. My uncle was the Zionist in the family. He was Shomer HaTzair. He went from there to Israel, 2 branches. Everyone else was killed. and the Holocaust. And all of those facts intersect. Israel, the separation, my father, my uncle, the Shoah, all connected to become part of the narrative of my life. And so when I first went to Israel, I was already going to be with family. I remember in 73, I made a decision that I really needed to go on the Golan Heights and see where the fighting was all about there at that time. So despite my uncle, I hitchhiked from Kibbutz Shar HaGolan up onto the Golan Heights, where I found myself caught in hot fire between two sides. And I was rescued by an Israeli, an IDF truck, gave me a blanket to hide under, and they drove me out. Two things happened. One is I kept the blanket. It said, Tzahal, it said that. And secondly, I fell in love. I mean, this is my place. And it's only grown since there. When I did sabbatical was in Yerushalayim. And when we made Aliyah, it was obvious. When we retired, we didn't have any alternative plans. We're going to Israel, and we're going to live there because that's where we belong. I only left painfully because of serious health concerns. And so I've maintained my Israeli citizenship and my American citizenship. Libi b'Mizrach, Sam, old statement. My heart's in the East.
Can you talk to me about when it was you decided to become a rabbi?
The deal becomes the modeling of the rabbi I grew up with. Jack Herman, I love the impact that he had, the words that he offered, how he functioned. I wanted to be like that. And secondly, my Hebrew background grew so rich, I had to figure out what to do with it. I wanted to find a way to make that which I loved the most to become part of my life and my professional career. And I was going to live my life trying to be part of those who are rebuilding and restructuring what Jewish life is all about.
I hear you describe such a love for Israel, for the land, for the people, for the culture.
Not all the people.
So with that in mind, and maybe you'll touch on that. What are your thoughts and feelings about the current state of affairs in Israel, and how would you describe your relationship with Israel today?
Nothing can break my tie to, commitment to the state of Israel. What is going on now in Israel is nothing short of a nightmare, in my eyes. I deeply, deeply fear the destruction of the Jewish state because of what the current government is attempting to achieve. It's not just Bibi and a couple of his now recently out of jail colleagues who are doing what they're attempting to do. There are groups within Israel which have absolutely no commitment to democracy. The ultra-Orthodox, the settlers, the proponents of the occupation want to remove democratic from the Jewish democratic equation that I found in full blossom in the Declaration of Independence. That must not stand. That cannot be allowed to stand. Some people have called me anti-Semitic because I actually publicly expressed my disagreements with the current government and with certain processes in Israeli society that are toxic. And they need to be pushed back. Israel is at an inflection point. If we don't push back successfully, that which is Zionism, that which is the dream of Zionism, that which is the Declaration of Independence, that which is the Israel for which I yearn will disappear off the face of the earth. So I am totally invested in trying to save Israel from some of its own internal missteps. I mean, for God's sake, 50 years plus of occupation is actually a little bit larger than a misstep. We have to do something before we lose Israel. Lose it, not, God forbid, perhaps physically, but it will stop being relevant to our lives. You remember, Sam, you know, why do we say L'Shana Haba of Yerushalayim at the end of the Seder? I know why I say it. Because we're not in the Yerushalayim I dream of yet. In other words, for me, the Zionist dream has not yet been fulfilled. The Zionist dream will be fulfilled when working with the Jewish diaspora, which overwhelmingly is with North American Jewry, we can produce a Jewish culture, values, way of looking at the world, which can again lift all of the world. To be La'or Goyim is a real message. The work of Israel, just because it exists, is not finished. The work of the Jewish people, though we live in comfort, we have a world to fix. But first, we have to fix ourselves. And that's where my Zionism is primarily focused today.
We're in an interesting time now where you have some Israelis who have never before asked for American Jews to weigh in, all of a sudden now asking for us to protest and to make our voices heard. Some leaders within the American Jewish community that have never spoken out publicly against the Israeli government are doing so for the first time. What role do we as Jews in America have as it relates to Israel?
We should have a full right of expressing our views, hearing the Israeli representative views, and working together on a path forward, not in areas touching about defense. Defense, my kids didn't have to go to the army. Their kids do. They do defense. But in so many other matters, every step that Israel takes impacts upon us, and to say every step that American Jews take impacts upon Israel. We need a different paradigm of relationship to fit the new structures of the world. For God's sake, will someone please understand that when those folks, forgive me, over there are discussing mihu Yehudi, who's a Jew, guess what? It dramatically impacts on American Jewish life. So what do you mean we don't have a seat at the conversation? A determinative seat? No, but a seat among equals because we are equally bound? Yes. I think it is our obligation of Jews today to move past the desire to become fully informed. I'm a teacher. I want people to be fully informed. That's a good thing, okay? But being fully informed is a self-serving, narrow focus. Lo hamidrashi kar ela hama'aseh. It's not enough to know. What are you doing with what you know? Action. When you go to Israel, you meet with movers and shakers and express your opinion. When elections come up for the local Congress people, whatever. A congressperson, by the way, what is your attitude about helping to work with Israel to et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Action. Action. For once, it's not about writing a check. We need to call upon the American Jewish community to throw off the comfortable misconception that if they learn about Israel and if they have an Israeli flag on the bima, that's enough. In today's world, it's not enough. We need to be able to say, Hama'aseh, the action. We need to do. J Street is about action. It's not just about informing people. It's about a path forward. And for those people who are increasingly disaffected from Israel, we have to find ways to excite them about the possibility of becoming change agents for the Jewish future. We can actually change what is turning you off. If you join with us, we can help you become a Boneh Yisrael, a builder of the state of Israel.
Rabbi, you are a member of J Street's rabbinic and cantorial cabinet. What is it about J Street that led you to lend your name and support to the cause?
The thing that convinced me to join the cabinet was John Rosoff. Okay? He kept beating on me. I also attended a committee meeting in the Knesset, chaired by Danny Danon. At that committee meeting, somebody named Jeremy Ben-Ami was asked to testify as to whether J Street is a Zionist organization. And Jeremy did a great job. And it was really the first, though I'd seen him here and there, whatever in the speech, first time I heard him articulate a full picture and respond to questions, fill in the gaps, and really make an excellent presentation. But at the end of the meeting, the chair said, well, we've had this wonderful meeting. We've had presentations from all sides. It is clear that this committee views J Street as not being a Zionist organization, and that's which I'm going to recommend forward to the Knesset. Where the hell did that come from? Well, it came from a sense of prejudice, blindness, and willful political self-serving. But I got to know Jeremy just a little bit. So there was Jeremy, and I see J Street as today offering a contemporary way of addressing Israel, representing what could be the mainstream of what American Jewry needs. So when John, sitting around having lunch, and when he beat up on me, I said, John, it's time. Okay? It's time. I have moved, but the world has moved too. And J Street is extremely important. J Street is doing some stuff extremely well. I just felt comfortable. These really are my people. And I want to be a part of what they're doing. And so that's the answer.
Well, we are extremely proud to have you among us, Rabbi. So before we wrap up, for those who are interested in learning more about you, about your work, your books, where can they find more information?
You can go to ccarpress.org and you can certainly purchase my book. And I don't want to use this as a cheap opportunity because, in fact, I don't make any money off the book. I have a wonderful correspondence, and I would love to be in touch with others who want to talk with me about their vision, their way forward, and help shape what I'm doing to discover new initiatives.
Well, I will say that I have loved talking with you today and selfishly taking advantage of your wisdom. So really appreciate you taking the time again and for being part of J Street. We would not be the organization we are without our supporters, and certainly without our leaders within the Jewish community, our rabbinic and cantorial cabinet. So we thank you for being a part of that. And again, thank you for taking the time.
And Sam, thank you for reaching out. I wrote you the first contact that I was actually honored by the manner in which you contacted me. Thank you for being open to these voices. Thank you.
Of course. And so if you would like to learn more about J Street or find ways to get involved, please visit us at jstreet.org. Take care.